Hey, this is Matt Wimmer from Brady Precision. In this video, we are continuing our Milesight series once again, and this time we are looking at bringing in our gateway into Niagara using the Milesight driver, which gives us additional features. We'll look at what's available to us in this video, and we'll dig into those deeper features in a future video because they are features that we also have access to directly on the gateway through its web UI as well. Our first step is not going to be to jump into Niagara. We actually have to get a hold of the jar files that make this driver all work. As I mentioned previously in the series, this driver is free. There's no licensing or anything required on it. You just need to have the proper jar files in order to make it work. So we do have these jar files up on BP Tech Center. So if you go over there, and I will just log into my account real fast here. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. And I'm going to go to vendors and then Milesight, and the latest version is here. I can download that and pull it up in my files. I will do an open here and then pull open the zip file and grab these two jar files. Then I'm going to go to my install of Niagara. I'm using 4.15 in this case. You just need to be using something above 4.10. You should be using a version that is fully supported, and ideally you would be using 4.15, but use it in whichever version you need, so long as it's above 4.10. So we're going into that version folder and then the modules folder, and then we're just going to do a paste in here. We're only running this from a station on a supervisor or a station in my machine, so we don't need to do anything more complicated than now opening up Niagara itself, and then we will be off and running. So let me grab 4.15 here. I already have a station made up, so I'm going to jump into that. I'm just going to log into my platform and get that station started. So it's going to be this Milesight driver station that we were actually looking at before, but now we aren't going to be using the normal BACnet driver. We're going to be using the Milesight one, which is actually just a tweaked version of the BACnet driver. So under the hood, it is mostly BACnet driver with some additional features added that allow it to communicate directly with your Milesight gateway. And some of those features are really slick because it makes it so that you don't even need to jump into the gateway to do a lot of the gateway-specific configuration and work. So our station's up and running now, and I can jump into it. And I will open up my config and drivers, and I'm actually going to delete this one in here because I had already added it in from testing. So no Milesight driver in here, blank station underneath drivers, and I will pull up the Milesight BACnet palette, and then I'm going to pull in the Milesight network underneath drivers, hit OK. And the basic configuration looks oddly similar to just the plain BACnet driver because it is, like I said, BACnet driver under the hood. So I'm going into my local device, typing in a random number for that object ID, and then I'm going into my BACnet COM and my network and my IP port. I'm going to open up a link. I will choose my regular IP port. I'm going to save on that. You'll see the IP address come up. Right-click the IP port, do an enable, and now we are enabled. So if now I double-click on my Milesight network and bring up the discovery or manager view, so you'll notice here the view name is, this is a special view specifically for the Milesight network. If I hit on that drop down for the views, you can see I still have that normal AX BACnet device manager, but in our case, we want to use those fancy Milesight gateway features, so we will leave it at the gateway manager, and I'm going to do a discover like we always do, send global, and see our gateway populate here in a moment. And we see the gateway come in, and we will add it in. And this all looks very similar to what we were looking at with the BACnet driver itself, but you'll note there's 3 additional properties here at the bottom of this list. The first one is the URL. So this is just going to be the IP address essentially for the gateway. So I know that is 10.10.1.206. And then I need my username and password for the gateway, the web UI of the gateway, because what this driver is doing is actually communicating with the APIs that are available through the gateway. So we need the username and password for the gateway in order to get to those APIs. So I will punch in that information as well, hit OK, and our device is brought in. Now, next thing that we're going to do is we'll expand, just to take a peek here, we'll expand the gateway here on the left, and you'll see there's a bunch of different objects underneath the gateway that aren't there normally for a BACnet device. The first of which is a sub-devices container that we would normally expect to be like a points container, but what this allows us to do is easily segment or create folders essentially for each of the individual devices that we have in our gateway, instead of having to manually do it if we were bringing it in over the BACnet network. It does have that prepended name of the device on the point name, but it won't automatically separate things out for us to make our lives a little bit easier and a little bit more organized. So what I'm going to do is click upload here, and that's it. It automatically goes out to the gateway, pulls in all the devices that it has access to, and you'll note we have a ton more information than what BACnet was giving us directly. So we can see this is our room sensor. We can get into the points container of it. We also can see our EUI, what the codec is that we're using for the payloads, what our address is, our keys, all kinds of additional information that we don't get out of the box in BACnet. Now, if I go into my points, I can do what we typically do, which is hit a discover. We get all of our points brought in, and let's just bring in these 3 just for example's sake. Bring those in, and we see point data as we expect to. The nice thing though is that if we open up this on the tree, we're organized a little bit more than we were previously with just BACnet. And instead of having to go into the gateway and manage which points come across on the gateway itself and the web UI there, we can do that here actually from this remote manage button. So if I click the chevron here on the right, I can turn off whatever points that I want to clean things up here on my discovery to make it so that, again, it's a little bit more manageable and easy to do. So just another little tidbit that's available to us through the Milesight driver itself. So we will now go back to our subdevices folder, and you'll notice at the bottom here, we actually have all of the functionality to do our bulk import of a bunch of devices directly from Niagara. It even gives us access to that template that will fill out with all of the details on our individual devices, and then bring that template in through the bulk import. You just find the CSV file here, and then it'll automatically populate all that information, send it out to the gateway, get everything talking, and you don't even have to touch the UI if you don't want to. But we will get to that in a future video, because I think the bulk import is worthy of its own individual video to take a look at it. All right, and the last little piece that's worth noting that's available to us through the Milesight driver is that we can get into some parameters on the driver itself. So we can change our BACnet device name if we wanted to, port, device ID, all of that kind of detail. If we needed to set up BBMD, that's very easy to do from here. Just enable it, set our IP address, port that we want to talk on, and that's all available to us. All right, so that does it for the basics of the Milesight driver that's available to us in Niagara. Again, free to use, Niagara 410 and above. One thing that I forgot to mention that is definitely worth noting is that you cannot have a BACnet network and a Milesight network on the same station. They can't coexist with each other. So worth noting, if you have a bunch of BACnet devices already out on a job in a station, just continue to use your BACnet network and bring in your gateway that way. A little bit more work for you to do that, but it's, a very small amount of additional work to make that happen. So not exactly a huge deal, but on your new jobs, if you wanted to take advantage of the additional features on the Milesight driver, you can use it and still bring in BACnet devices underneath it in addition to the Milesight gateway. So hopefully that was helpful and informative for you. Thanks as always for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below if there's additional things that you'd like to see here. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.